Thank you so much for the invitation. I'm excited just to present some of the things that we have been doing at the Environmental Education and Research Center. So today I'll be presenting about this particular initiative, which is not only UW involved, but it's a close partnership with Washington State Parks. I'm really happy to see Daryl here in this call as well. He's a very critical partner in this collaboration. So I'll be talking a little bit about the status of this particular initiative and summarizing some of the steps that we've taken to bring this partnership to life. So I don't know how familiar everybody is with this initiative, but again, it's a university-led center that we're referring to as the EERC. As I said before, in close partnership with Washington State Parks. The mission of the EERC is, again, to advance scientific knowledge of our native ecosystems, also the stewardship, promote public understanding of the ecology, natural history, indigenous history of this place. Also, we want to bring opportunities to connect with nature, everything in the context of enhancing diversity, equity, and inclusion, also environmental justice, the main pillars of the EERC. For those of you who are not familiar with the center and the location of the building, it's very close to our campus, about 6 miles away from Bothell, about 20 minutes by car. The center, the physical space, is in the middle of St. Edward State Park. St. Edward State Park is, again, a very special urban park. Is a unique forest ecosystem that is very diverse. It has different types of ecosystems, and also provides different kinds of opportunities to engage in activities, nature-based learning. So, okay, so the ERC is next to this gym, is the gym building. It's a space of about 2,000 square feet that was recently renovated, restored, while this larger building that is now is called the Lodge at St. Edward State Park was restored. The opportunities to engage in nature at St. Edward State Park are really significant. Is a diverse landscape with different types of ecosystems. We have a mature forest. We have different forest successions in the park as well. They also have some fields. There's wetlands. There's a complex network of streams, creeks. It also has a very important shoreline along the lake. So yeah, so there are all these different types of ecosystems that make St. Edward State Park a unique place. In terms of opportunities for engagement with community partners, with people from the community, there's also tons of those opportunities. St. Edward State Park receives an average of visitors of about 500,000 people per year. Year 2021 was an exception to that. There was a significant increase in the number of visitors, so about 800,000 people visited the park that year, probably due to the pandemic effects. But again, there is a lot of opportunities to engage in community partnerships, involve families and people of different ages, different age groups. So just a little history about the development of not only the EERC, but also our partner, the Lodge. If you are not familiar with the Lodge, with the seminary building, so the seminary building was built in 1931 as a space for learning for people who wanted, for men who wanted to become priests. So it started the construction in 1931. So the seminary was receiving low enrollments until the early 1970s, and it finally closed in 1976 because of enrollment problems. In 1977, the building and most of the land was sold to the state of Washington, and then it became Santiago State Park. The building is part of the heritage buildings in Washington State, and also parts of the register of the National Register of Historical Buildings. In 2017, Washington State Parks enter an agreement with a real estate company called Daniel State Real Estate, and they enter this 62-year lease agreement. And the renovation of the lodge started around that time. It actually was completed in 2020. And finally, the lodge, as we know it now, opened its doors in March 2021. So while this was happening, the building that we know now as the EERC went also through a renovation process. So the lease of the seminary and the renovation contract provided some room to also renovate, restore this particular place, this area of 2,000 square feet. And with, again, some funding that came from this Washington State to state parks, we were able to renovate this space, what that has been also referred to as the gym annex, and which is located here. I don't know if you're familiar with this view, but we're looking at the lodge from the west to the east. The north is to the left, south is to the right, and the EERC is over here next to the gym. So these are the original plans for the EERC. So the EERC has a few spaces. It has a classroom space that fits 30 to 40 people seated. There is an office space, again, for 2 or 3 people. There is a small space for a library. There are some restrooms that can be used. And next to the EERC space, there is also an office space that Parks, Washington State Parks is restoring, renovating for their use. And so these are the original renderings provided by the architects, SKL, which is the name of the architect firm who helped with the design and conceptual design and renovation of this space. So since then, faculty, UW leadership have been working with architects and state parks to develop all these spaces. In addition to what we see here on the left is an outdoor learning area that was also included as part of the EERC later on. So these are some of the renderings, the 3 renderings that were provided by the architects firm. Again, this is a view from the south to the north. Again, these are just this is the conceptual design. There is no solar panels installed on top of the ERC still, but hopefully in the future we will do something like that. There is this rain barrel that is not there as well, and this concept, the concept of the outdoor learning area, also changed a little over time. So this is what the most current rendering of the open learning area looks like. Is an open space with a bench and some planter boxes that we will also use to plant native species, maybe some herbs, food. So this is a view from, again, both the ERC classroom space plus what we call the open learning area. So just to give you a sense of how this place looked like when the restoration process started in 2019, This is just the work that had to be completed. Fortunately, many of these pieces were already in place, but they needed to actually bring some of these features to life. This is a more recent view of the EERC. This is a view in 2000, early 2022. This is the main architect, John Kennedy, who actually oversaw the whole project. And this is the general contractor of the building. And another view from the south to the north. Again, the office space, the little library area, the classroom space, and also, this connection between the indoor space and the outdoor space is something that we really wanted to take advantage of. And so there is now a garage door installed that can be open and provide this kind of direct link between these two nice spaces. Again, the work of faculty was very crucial, in addition to the work of staff, UWP staff and community members. This picture was taken in 2022 when we were actually putting together the furniture for the space. Chancellor Jones also was there helping us putting the furniture together. So this is year 2022. This is one of the latest pictures that I took of the space not too long ago. The classroom space and the EERC space was enabled in April 2022 with the issuing of a certificate of occupancy, which was the legal document that we needed to occupy the space and make sure and to start actually developing the space inside the physical building. That was completed in April 2022. Again, we have this type of setting with movable chairs and movable desks that can be set in different types of arrangements, depending on the instructor's need or whatever event we're hosting there at the EERC. This is, again, a picture that I took at the end of 2022 during our little ice event in December. That's why the snow is there. This work was completed in November, at the end of November, by a very important critical partner of the ERC, Susan Carlson, and her husband, who volunteered to take over this project of building the planter boxes, the trellis, and with the collaboration with Daryl Klein, who actually provided the wood from a salvage tree to build this bench that you guys see here next to the planter boxes. So that's a salvage tree that was included as part of this project, and we're very thankful for how it actually turned to be. We're continuing developing this particular area, the open learning area, as we call it. It's a different view of that space. We are working on the soils. Hopefully we'll have the soils filled in early February. And we have a couple of students working on a capstone project to design what plants are going to be there, and also come up with a plan to maintain this garden, this space in the future. So we're already working with the students to come up with that concept and also the implementation of that concept. And then some other photographs. Ranger Klein here with his dog on another bench that also was created using the salvage tree. And this is also some pavers that Daryl was able to put in front of the ERC to cover some areas that needed some restoration as well. This is to the south, southern part of the EERC building. So that's what we have been working on, the physical part of this. has been almost completed. But in addition to this funding that Washington State provided to develop the EERC, we also received some funding from UW Bothell as an investment fund that started in 2021 and will end in the summer of 2024, basically to provide support for personnel and the development of programming at the EERC. The idea is to supplement this funding with external funding. Beyond 2024, there are some plans to move forward with the administration of the EERC that are still on the works. We will provide a recommendation to the Chancellor Office toward the end of the investment period about how can we move forward with our vision of the EERC. Recently, the EERC obtained a grant from the federal government to support program development at the EERC, and this will also provide additional support for the next 3 years. There is also some additional smaller grants that are helping to kind of jumpstart some of our research projects and teaching initiatives, and we're working with advancement to think about fundraising opportunities for the ERC, since we think this is a really exciting project that that we think is going to provide a lot of opportunities to create partnerships and create programs. So we're all excited about the status of the EERC at this point. So just to give you a sense of how the EERC is currently administered, so we have gone through different iterations of this type of conceptual model, administration conceptual model for the EERC. So currently the EERC, we have an academic component of the EERC that is mostly UW faculty. I'm the faculty director of this group. We also have a faculty oversight committee that has been working on, again, leading the way in terms of concepts, ideas, programs for the EERC. This is the group of faculty who have been working on this for the past couple of years. Jeff, who is here at this call, he's part of the EERC faculty oversight team. And again, we have Dave Stokes, Carrie Zoe, Avery Shinneman, and myself as part of this committee. But we also have an administrative component who is led by our program manager, Lily Kaysen, who is also in this call, our program administrator, Kelly Holden, and we recently were able to hire and collaborate with Veronica McCowan, who also works with the department, with the School of Education and the Goodlad Institute. We're in the process of putting together a charter for an advisory board, a community advisory board that will be determined in the near future. But again, so there are all these units who are currently providing support to the EERC. Many of the leadership is here in this call as well. The Office of Connected Learning, Cara Adams, who provides also oversight to our administration. The administration of the ERC in particular, she works directly with our program manager, with Lily Kaysen. Also, Carolyn Brennan, again, through this Office of Sponsored Projects, has been critical in the development of this space. And all this support that we have received in recent years from our Chancellor's Office and Vice Chancellor's Office of Academic Affairs, who have been really supportive and providing guidance and also financial aid to support some of the things that we're doing at the EERC. In addition to these units, we are also working with our Division of Advancement, particularly with Rebecca Bloom, who I think she's also in this call. So it's great to at least inform her about the status of the ERC and the history of how this place came to life. So just to give you a sense of the complexity of the administration of the EERC and all the units that are involved in this project so that we can move it forward. So it's not just a school or a unit initiative. It's really a U.B initiative that is coming to life. Yeah, in addition to all this support that we have obtained, we also needed to get the support from Washington State Parks, since this is a complex type of collaboration. So during this past 2 years, starting in 2020, we started collaborating with parks as well to develop what we're calling an interagency agreement. So it's been a long process. It's been a long process that took about 2 years. The IAA was signed recently on October 22 in 2022. After years of negotiations, revisions, and standby periods. Of course, the pandemic was not helpful in any of this, so it took longer than we actually wanted this to take. But we had some delays in terms of getting the agreements in place that we needed to start operations at the center. So the IAA, which is may not sound as a very important document, but is really a very critical piece in this puzzle, because it provides is an umbrella document that really defines the scope of our cooperative work, and also defines the roles, responsibilities of each group. So without this type of IAA, this type of agreement, we couldn't continue with our operations at the ERC. But now we have it. Now this is the time that we actually, when we actually can start developing programs, putting activities, events together in collaboration with parks. So yeah, with the IAA in place, then UW can officially start operating at the EERC. And we are at that intersection at this point. So what are the next steps in this particular process? The ERC is 95% completed. There are still some pieces that need to be brought together. We still need to have the help from IT to complete the installation of the computers, AV equipment at space. We need all these details that I'm just mentioning here as examples of things that we need to complete. And we need to keep negotiating with parks, come up with some other addendums and agreements around branding and the naming of the ERC, which I think is an exciting opportunity, again, to kind of co-develop, co-design this, how we're going to be referring to the ERC and putting all those instruments and materials that we need to make use of this space. But again, it might take a little bit longer to get there, but that's where we are. And until all this is resolved, we are referring to this initiative as University of Washington Bothell at the EERC. So just wanted to point this out. If you are going to talk about this project, that's how we are referring to now as the EERC. So thank you. I think we still have a few more minutes. There is so many people to thank. I didn't want to list them here. I would run it out of space in one slide. Half of the people in this call, I have to thank for being part of this and supporting this in so many ways. But those thank you notes will come a little bit later.